Hello, Flosstube. Um, I'm Beth Martinez, Elizabeth Martinez, phantastitches, and this is a Flosstube extra for the Witchy Stitchy Challenge 2020, and I'm here with my two sisters because I'm the stitch bully and I talked them into it.
This is true.
And
I'd rather be knitting.
and so we decided to all participate in the challenge, and it's 31 days of stitching, 30 days, 30 minutes a day, with a beginning and after picture for each day, and trying to do as much as possible of the 31 days of the month. And there's also some challenge tricks, they're called, within that. So things like why you stitch, or what your how you approach stitching, or what your aspect of about stitching, how you think about cross stitch, what do you think about cross stitch, and then a picture of your stitching with your favorite Halloween type movie in the background, and doing something that scares you, something that you're afraid of, or something that scares you, like beading in her case. And oh gosh, there was one other one.
Purple.
Oh yeah,
Orange.
purple, orange, or black, stitching with or on something purple, orange, or black.
I got that down right.
You're purple, yeah. And then the fifth one is that the 31st of August is October. 31st of October is a mandatory stitch day. So anyway, so we thought we would do a special video for the beginning of it, and talk a little bit, and then just basically do some stitching for the 30 minutes that we have to that we're required to do for the.
Our 30 minutes
challenge.
Started an hour and a half ago.
Yeah,
we were trying to set this up.
Trying to set up the having technological issues and blah blah blah.
So what is everybody stitching on?
So let's go ahead and start with you, since you're just doing one.
Well, I have other things to do, but today I'm working on
Pandemic.
The Pandemic by Long Dog Sampler.
Mm-hmm.
I only have it on my iPad, so.
Get this up.
And so far, I started this when did we start this? I don't know, sometime during this past nebulous
months ago.
few months.
Yeah.
And that's all I have right now. So
I'm trying to put this somewhere where it's not. Put
it on the floor.
Thank you. And
that's what I'm doing. I have other things I might do later in the month, but for right now, that's what I'm working on.
And then go ahead.
Right this second, I'm working on this. This is in the...
It's her own design.
Yeah, it's my own design, and for right now, the working title is in the Cornfield. And, but I might, and I do have other people's designs to do this month, but I might do the beading on this today, maybe even now, I don't know. I'm just frustrated from the technical issues that we had. But I have green, blue, gold, red, and clear beads to put on this to be Christmas lights. Anyway, that's what I'm planning to do today.
That's cute.
And then I have a whole bunch of projects, because I'm planning on doing this the way I did Stitch Mania 2018 was the first year that I did it, and I had at first thought I would do 18 whips, and I don't think I had 18 whips in those days. So I came up with 9, and I did, the first 9 days a different whip each day, and then the second 9 days to make 18. I just did them in reverse order, so I did 1 through 9, and then 9 through 1. So I had 18 days of stitching. And so for this one, I have 17 whips, which is more than enough to do 2 days on each whip. But some of them I will probably be able to just do one day, like, and finish them, like the little freebie Happy Cat that I'm going to do on the 10th is like 27 by 27, so it's very small. So I probably will hopefully be done with that in one day. And then Winterberry Cabin is one that I've been working on for Christmas, that I'm almost finished with it. So that one I might be able to finish. And then I had a little freebie that I got from Lindy Stitches called Turtley Lovable, and it's also very tiny. So things like that I'm hoping that I can do in one day, and so they won't be on my repeat list to finish up. So theoretically, what I have, the 17 that I have, will be enough to fill the 31 days. But I'm starting with Sleepy Hollow, which was a Halloween mystery Sal. I want to say 2 years ago, a year ago, I think.
A year ago.
A year ago, yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2019. Yeah. So that was the four of them when it was finally. Oh, that's very tiny. When it was finally all done, that's what the 4 designs were. But I had just did this much of the first design before I got A, woefully behind, and B, I just ran out of steam because I was working on things for Christmas and all that. So they were, and this is for me, so it was just kind of
Excuse me.
set aside. But so this is 28 count even weave that I dyed specifically for this project. I have several. I have a large piece of it. Theoretically, I should be able to fit all 4 pieces on it, all 4 designs on it. But anyway, this is what I'm going to work on, except it just occurred to me, I don't have a hoop. So I could stitch it in hand. Oh, there you go. Thank you very much. Look, a hoop magically appeared. So yeah, I'm gonna work on. I think I'm gonna work on this. There's a lot of black lettering and other black stuff. So I think I'm gonna work on that. It's all 310. So that way I can just because I took at one point, when I started this, I had like all the threads in here, and I took them out because I was working on other stuff and using the threads and all that. So and at one point we talked. Somebody had asked, "What's your favorite kind of hoop?" And this one with the little, I don't know if you can see that little ridge in the middle. This is my favorite. Has become my favorite kind, because I used the old wooden hoops that everybody used back in the day, and I didn't get in on the when everybody was jumping on the Q-snap wagon. When I don't know when the Q-snaps started, but I just never had never used them, and I just always used a hoop, and I have some that have a little lip on them, but these with the ridge I tried, and I really like them, and the fabric doesn't really slip in them the way it does in a regular hoop, and so the little ridge thing holds it really tight and holds it well. So I think it'll work well for me. I'm also working on Pandemic, like Naomi is, and I don't think we're in probably comparable in what we're doing. I also wanted to talk about. I bought this just cross stitch magazine at Joann's the other day. It's their Halloween and fall kind of things, and I really like the cover design that they have on the cover here. This Halloween one with a black kitty and pumpkins, and it's full coverage. This blue background here is all stitched. Although you could do, if you had a dark blue mottled fabric, you could probably get away with not stitching that blue part if it was the right shade of blue or whatever. And you could just stitch the other things, the trees and the cat and the pumpkins.
I'm going to actually stitch during those 30 minutes. Yes, I am.
But then the other one I really like is this. I don't know, it's very small. That owl. There, I really like that one. But anyway, so I shall start to stitch.
My sister disappeared. She got a phone call. But her life is crazy. So that's not really surprising. I wouldn't. That's why she hasn't gotten very far on pandemic. She has very little downtime. So. And I myself have not had a minute to stitch in the last 2 days. So I'm hoping the rest of the month is easier.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. I hit the lower button. Okay. So we had a little bit of an interruption because we had a long-term phone call, but we're back.
Okay. And I changed.
You changed projects.
I changed to the beading thing.
Did you take a picture?
I took a picture of this before.
Oh, okay.
This morning.
See,
While
she's
you
a
were
bully.
still in the bath.
She's a cross stitch bully for sure.
I'm a rule follower.
Yes, you are a trunk. I saw this thing, when my daughter was little, she did a Suzuki violin thing, and one of the classes we went to was determining what kind of person you were according to a tree analogy.
Mm-hmm.
That some people are trunks and they don't move and they are always by the rules and they follow everything. Some people are branches, so they bend a little bit, but they're strong and they're like determined, but they're flexible. And then some people are leaves and they're just crazy all over the place. So you're definitely a trunk.
Yes, I am.
As is my daughter. She self-identifies as a trunk. I think I'm more of a leaf. I think that's who I am, because I can't stay on any one thing for any long length of time.
Which is why she knows how to cross stitch and knit and crochet and tat and spin yarn and
Yeah, because I have 1,000. You're talking about 17 whips. I'm like, I have about 300. But it's all different disciplines, I guess you could say.
Well, I didn't used to have a lot. I used to basically stitch on one project until it was finished.
I would use a hoop, but I had to give mine to somebody.
I have hoops. You want to use one?
So do I, but they're all just.
She didn't come here to cross stitch with a hoop.
Well, I have, not my extra ones.
Don't you have 1,000 hoops in your room? Aren't you the keeper of all the hoops?
I have, I have a lot of hoops.
Naomi, that little blue one's fine.
It's not the fancy kind, but
that's okay, because it just.
Now I lost my needle.
Sorry.
Anyway, what were you saying? You used to be a single.
I used to
pattern
be a
stitcher?
monogamous stitcher, as they say.
And now you're a cheater?
No, yeah. Now
You're a
because
polygamist?
I'm a polygamous stitcher. Well, and it, like, there's a YouTube channel, Someone's Crazy Aunt. And she
That's
was talking.
you. You are someone's crazy aunt.
But she was talking about how she had been away from cross stitch for a long time or whatever, and then like had come across YouTube and how she said that it's kind of like it's a very strange world that there's all these people talking about their whips, and they have a bunch of whips and all this, and that's all pretty new, and that's probably true. For me as well, because when I discovered Flosstube, there was all these people talking about they have so many whips, and they have a lot of people did in especially in those early days for Mania. They would do a new start every day. If they did like the number of days matching the year, or some people did one every day of May.
Oh my gosh.
So they would have like 31
in the knitting
new
world,
starts.
In the knitting world, that's called cast-on-itis.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have all these projects you're doing, but you find this new beautiful pattern and this beautiful yarn. You're like, I have to cast this on right now, even though I have no business casting it on because I already have 15 projects. That's me.
And so with cross stitch, they're just startitis, and some people, they just have that squirrel
That's me.
mentality, and
I'm that about everything.
And I'm kind of that way about buying patterns, and this is something I talked about before, that the reason I had those little giveaways, and I'm still working on the second one. I'm still waiting till Saturday for the second one. But the reason I had the giveaways is that I bought those patterns thinking, oh, that's really pretty. I really want to do that. And then when the reality comes down, it's like, oh, that's a lot of work. And I'm kind of that way about like recipes
You're
too.
supposed to be stitching for half an hour. Get busy.
You should talk.
You
I'm
don't,
sitting
you
here
don't
doing
find
it.
it possible to stitch and talk
But-
at the same time?
But hold on a second. Pause that.
One second,
Pause
Daddy.
that.
Your mail lease today?
Yeah. I don't even know how long. The video is only 17 minutes, but I don't know how long
Well,
you've
you've
been
not
at
been
it.
stitching for 17 minutes.
You haven't been stitching
Yes,
for
I
that.
have.
No, because you were on
I've
the
been
phone.
stitching for
Well,
17
the
minutes.
video was stopped while I was on the phone.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Anyway.
But I was
It's the
stitching while you were on the
spirit.
phone.
It's the spirit, not the letter
I
of the law.
know.
Okay,
Brother.
if you want to be, you're the one that was talking all that time, and you don't stitch and talk at the same time, so leave her alone.
Blah, blah, blah. But, but what I was saying before is that, I get very intrigued by the look of things. And I talked about this before about makeup, but about recipes also. It's like, it looks really, with the makeup, with eyeshadow especially, because eyeshadow, comes in all kinds of different pretty colors and everything else. And stop. So, I would see a really nice color and I thought, that's really pretty. But then I wouldn't think about, like, is that a color I would wear? Is that a color that would look good on me or whatever? It's just a really pretty color to look at. Really pretty color for my eyes to look at, but not necessarily to wear. And so I had sort of like, I had all these different colors. It's like, okay, I'm never going to wear that. And, it's maybe for some people who could get away with it, pull off a bold color or whatever, but it's just not really my taste. I just like to look at it. And like with recipes, I'm kind of the same way. And like something sounds really good, like it would be really tasty or whatever. But then I look at the recipe and there's all these steps and and a big list of ingredients, whatever. And it the more complicated it is, I'm not much of a cook, and I'm not really, I'm not really into cooking and all that. And so if something is more more complicated and has a lot of steps and has a lot of ingredients, the more complicated it is, the less I want to do it. And so it like sounds really good, looks really good, but then like the more I get in, and it's just kind of the same way with stitching. It looks really pretty, and looks, and I there's part of me that really wants to do it, but then like if it's really difficult, if there's then I'm less enthusiastic about it, or if it's really big.
Like the pandemic.
Like pandemic, I'm working on that, and it's on my list for this month.
It's so
as a matter of fact,
beautiful,
it's
though.
tomorrow.
And I love the intricacy of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it is overwhelming. But I figure, you know what? I'm just gonna.
Well, like I said, for this challenge, it's just 30 minutes a day, and it's out of a 24-hour day, you figure 6 or 8 hours for sleeping. And then, however many hours for
You sleep for 6, 8 or 8 hours?
I personally don't.
8 hours.
But-
I can't sleep
but-
much past 5 hours. My
But if
problem
you
is
were-
everything else I want to do and everything else I'm doing.
Yeah, I was
This
gonna
is
say,
not my first choice to pick up, but
Well, I was telling Beth yesterday, I was like, you're going to have to do some of the beading with the scissor fobs that we make, because I can't make the website. I'm trying to make the website for us. I can't make the website and make the scissor fobs and sew the project bags and design new stuff and stitch them for the samples and still take care of what I need to around the house.
yeah.
There isn't enough time in my life to do that. So, that's why I've been stitching on the samples, and that's one of the reasons why we don't have any new bags made or anything.
Yeah.
But I bought some fabric. I'm going to talk about
Halloween fabric.
I bought this cool Halloween fabric, which of course is, you need to get it up and made. So, oh no. All my haul just fell on the floor. See, so this is what's on the sewing table this week. This kitty cat, Halloween kitty cat fabric is going to go with, where's the other kitty cat fabric? Oh, this one. So this will be on the inside, and if you've seen our bags, you'll know what I mean. On the inside and on the bottom, and this is what the main color is. And I had ordered some specialty, really sparkly, kind of iridescent stuff, and I thought, I could stitch around. No, I can't give myself more stuff to have to fit in my day. But I love this snowman fabric. Now, it does have a nap, so I have to make sure that I get the snowman right side up.
There you
Well,
go.
to me,
Can't even do it on video.
to
How do
me
you
it
do
was
in the
right
sewing
side up
machine? Oh, I see.
on this side, and now it's upside down. And it's going, and you wouldn't be able to see it, but this
Snowflakes.
fabric is a white on white snowflake, real subtle snowflake pattern. It's
Let me see that.
beautiful.
I think I used this. Yeah, I used this exact thing in a quilting project. And what happens is it gets to be hard to tell which is the right. Oh no, which is the right side and wrong side. But yeah, I remember that.
I
you
might
can
not
really
get-
see it in the light like that.
I might not get to these, but it's this fish scale pattern with this sparkly black. Unfortunately, I know some people don't like the inside of the bag to be dark, but our notions bag would be this size, so if you put all your little notions, if you buy the notions bag too, and you put all your needles and your threads and stuff in the notions bag, that'll be easy to spot inside. So, and then I have this bag already cut out, and we have a bag with cactus already on the. Let me take one piece out of the. It's all these cactus, and we
It's
have
cute.
a bag with cactus already on the Etsy shop.
Look at
but-
an owl.
This commercial brought to you by.
That's
Look at my owl. I
Mm.
finally made something that looks like something.
Yeah.
That's the one
Yeah.
it's a different style that I made there, that one. So I just have to pick up the stuff I don't.
Now the question.
On my pandemic pattern, these little, I was thinking I want to do all these little animals, the owl, and there's, you know,
In different colors?
things, yeah, in etoile.
Mm.
I have like every blue that I could lay my hands on.
Yeah. What do you mean, etoile? What is that?
Etoile, it's a sparkly,
I have some here.
yeah, a sparkly thread. But but the colors correspond to some of the colors in some of the DMC colors.
Mm.
So
I have, with this thing, it's like you can't even tell what it is you're stitching on because the pattern is blown up so big.
yeah.
See, like that's just the bottom corner of that
Yeah.
part.
So the whale that I'm gonna do the black with the etoile.
Yeah, this is the you can't really see the sparkle on it because the camera's so far
Oh,
away.
I see.
But it's
That looks like a nightmare.
No,
No.
it actually stitches pretty
It's-
easy.
yeah.
Really?
Now, if you make a mistake and you try to take it out,
Forget it.
forget it. Just throw it away.
No,
throw away
the
the thread.
Crying you were talking about that.
No,
but,
that one too.
uh,
It's easier than the Kreinik to take out, but not by much, just because it's delicate and soft.
yeah.
Well, because it looks like each.
It
looks like each ply is very loosely spun. Like,
you have to kind of like
because I can see here, like, if you look at, this is one ply, but I can see the two plies of the thread itself. Loose, I can see light through them.
Yeah,
So
but
that
they
to
make
me-
up so pretty. I have some etoile on this pattern I'm
Well, let me
working on.
see it, because I've never seen that stitched up, and it terrifies
Yeah, I
me.
have it on my Blackrock Angels.
This
Um,
present, that's etoile.
Oh, that looks
It's
pretty.
easier to use than Kreinik, I think. You know,
Well,
it's not as sparkly as Kreinik
Mm-hmm.
Careful, don't poke yourself.
generally,
in
but
the nails.
I see. Huh.
but it's easier to use, I think, than Kreinik.
That's all too fancy for me. The question is where to go next. That's always my question. I guess I could go right there. I think
On this pattern, I had stockings, which I wanted red, and I have ornaments, which I wanted red, and the curtains, which were red, and so I
I think
used
I should just.
etoile for some of the red and variegated red, just so you could tell what one thing was from the other. And also with the green, with the green I went ahead and used a satin because I used it for the tree stand, and the tree stand is metal, so I did that so it would be a little bit shiny, I don't know. That was my thinking. I don't know if you can really tell that they're, what is this stuff on my...
So, is there a program, like an electronic program that that cross stitchers use?
I think a lot of people use Pattern Keeper.
You mean like what you're doing with the pen?
Yeah. Well, this is Knit Companion. This is a knitting app
Yeah.
that I use.
Yeah.
But it's the same. I can mark on it. I can mark my place. And
Yeah, I think people use Pattern Keeper is and I was looking at it when I used the application for Thread Stash. And Thread Stash worked on my tablet, but not on my phone, even though my phone is also an Android like my tablet. But the tablet is Samsung and the phone is LG, and it wasn't compatible with my LG phone. But Pattern Keeper is available, but I think it's not free. I think it's something like $1.99 or something like that. It's not very expensive. Don't quote me on that because I don't know.
Knit
I just glanced
Companion,
it.
which is kind of similar, it takes all the knitting, takes your patterns in as PDFs,
Yeah.
and then you can manipulate them. I mean, in terms of like, you can write on it, you can, if it has a graph, actually, it treats knitting graphs in a special way. Like, you can actually has voice commands where you can have the highlight move down a row as if you tell it to, whatever. So it's really cool, but it's not cheap. There is a free version, but then to get all the features, which I went ahead and bought it. It's really
I know
great.
a lot of people use Pattern Keeper, and it allows you to, like if you're doing like all one color, you can highlight all the
that's cool.
all the one symbol, so you can do like all the blue ones, you can highlight them and do them, and then you can highlight ones you've already what you've already stitched, and that sort of thing. So, it does. But for cross stitchers, I know that the PDF files, people are finding that some of their older PDFs. They're having to, I guess, tweak them and convert them to put them on, so that they're accepted into Pattern Keeper. But I think that for the most part now, people are designing their PDFs to work on Pattern Keeper. But I have not. I don't know if I want to do that or could do that or whatever. I don't know. Because it does seem very, very like it would work really well.
It's really great. Using Knit Companion, I use it all the time. The only problem is that a piece of paper, this isn't going to run out of battery.
Yeah, I was going to say,
There's been times when I'm ready to knit and I'm like, oh well, my iPad's dead.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was thinking about, that because like a lot of times I'll be stitching and I'll have YouTube playing on my tablet. I'll have a Flosstube channel, whatever, like Stitching with the Housewives or Pam and Steph or whatever, and so it's a lot of fun while I'm stitching away.
So I have my phone set up with all my videos that I'm watching, and then my iPad set up with. Oh, are you serious?
Make the baby? Or
No,
you have a knot?
I just got a knot. And then my iPad set up with Knit Companion, and then my cat set up in my lap, not letting me do anything. I
have one of my cats lying on my bed, grabbing things randomly, stretching, grabbing further, grabbing some more. It's like no matter what I take it, like sometimes he'll change a channel on the television because he puts his paw on the remote, or he grabs the remote, or he lies on the remote. And then Puck, climbs on top of me and rubbing all over my face and everything else. And he wants me to, kiss him and do, and scratch his head and whatever.
Poms will not let me do anything. He's a baby.
Well, Snug is funny because he wants to cuddle up and, lie down with me, but he does not want me to hold him. He will strong arm me like this. He doesn't let me kiss him.
It's Calvin.
So, This video is now 35 minutes long. And do we want to
Well,
keep going or turn
I'm
it
not
off?
ready
Or?
to stop.
Huh?
I'm not ready to stop.
Neither am I.
Well, me either.
Okay.
If you turn it off, I'll keep stitching. But then I'll have to resituate myself somewhere else.
So, okay, so mouse update. My daughter is in school in Boston.
No!
No, she's in school in Boston, and
That's a very funny story. It's sad, but it's funny.
No, yeah, well, when we first moved her in September 1st, that week, I was there with her, and there was evidence of a mouse in the house. So she called maintenance and said, there's a mouse. And they said, oh, we'll send somebody out right away. And now I'm lost in my pattern. Sorry. We'll send somebody out right away. And nobody ever came. And then, but we moved stuff around and hid the food and, just made sure there wasn't anything inviting, and we didn't see any more evidence. And all this time, she'd been fine. So that was like first week of September. And then Sunday night, she heard something in her kitchen, but she couldn't find anybody, and was like, I'm just going to pretend that it was outside, or it was, she was in denial, but we're like, look, you need to call maintenance back on Monday morning, and you need to get some traps. And she did neither. And then, when was the debate? Tuesday night. She was getting ready in her house. She had a class online, and then she was going to watch the debate with friends. And so right before her class online, she was kind of getting ready, and she saw the mouse run from she's in a studio, from her bedroom, living room, into her kitchen. And she freaked out, and she called maintenance, and she left them a message and said, there's a mouse, I just saw him. And while she was on the phone, she saw him again in the kitchen, and she's like, ah. So then she calls us, and we're like, you need to go get traps right now. So she went and got them, put them on, and her friends came over and helped her bait them, because she was, Anyway,
I do not like this.
4:30 in the morning, we get a phone call from Boston that she's like, Dad, there's a dead mouse in my trap. It's in my kitchen. There's blood on the floor. She's like,
oh.
So we had to walk her through, put a plastic bag over the trap.
Now,
It was inside.
As an aside,
and tail
I
were
know
sticking out.
that in cities like Boston and big cities, probably downtown Phoenix, mice and rats are an issue. I understand. I just don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I know. Well, and the thing is, everyone she's talked to was like, at least it wasn't a rat, which is true. And then, so she had to dispose of the mouse, which was very sad, and she was upset and freaked out. She's like, I've had a dead thing in my house. So she named him Little Jerry back at the beginning of September. So she's like, Little Jerry's dead. And so she had bought 2 traps. And so yesterday was Wednesday, right? Yesterday she's like, I really don't want the other trap in my house anymore. Like, you have to keep it. We said, you need to keep the other one there because there's never just one mouse. And obviously there's a route into your house, and maintenance hasn't gotten back to you yet, which I'm like, I told my husband, we're on the lease. We're going to call them next. But anyway, so this morning, all night, we were like, let's just keep our phones on loud because we're going to get a call in the middle of the night. So this morning I get a text, no mouse. Oh, she was afraid she wouldn't be able to sleep last night. But anyway.
That's the worst part, when there's like a bug or something in your house, and then it disappears and you can't find it.
I know.
Because it's like, behind this bookcase or under the bed or what,
Okay. Oh, but no, the funniest thing, I have to read you this. So can I say a bad word on your channel? Well, I won't say a bad word, but I'll tell you what it said. I will infer a bad word. How about that? Hang on. So she, when she went to buy traps, or after she bought the traps, she's like, I better let my neighbors know. Maybe I should let my neighbors know. She's got in her little area of the hallway right across from the elevator, there's her door and then another door right there. So that's what she was thinking, because they share a wall. And so she wrote them a note and said, "Hi, my name is Hannah and I'm in apartment 24. Just letting you know that I saw a mouse in my kitchen. I left a message for maintenance, but also got some traps. Not sure if it could get into your place, but maybe keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully it'll be gone soon. Oof." And then she goes, "Also, sorry for the violin playing." And
Violin
so,
playing.
yeah, because she plays violin. She's there at a conservatory. And so then she got a note back and said, "Hey, Hannah, thanks for the heads up. By the way, we lived here last year, found a cockroach once, but we had this powdered pesticide and put it along the bottoms of our walls, and it was fine, just to let you know." And then in parentheses, "Also, we can hear your violin really well from the bathroom. It's kind of soothing when you're taking a..." LOL. Anyway, it was just, I just could not stop laughing. So she has a good relationship with her neighbors. And so then when he was dead, she drew another note and wrote another note and drew a little drawing of the trap with his tail sticking out.
No!
And put it under their door. So
That is so awful.
well, it's life. Life in the big city.
My ex-husband, his brother lived, well, he had, grew up over there near the river in Albuquerque. And in their house, not my brother-in-law's family's house, but the brother's house, there on the river, they would get mice all the time. They were everywhere.
Oof.
And, but they lived on a river. And so they were constantly catching them everywhere in the house, but they were never able to get rid of them. It wasn't just one. But I think part of it was, a whole bunch of boys in one house.
Well, I think sometimes you can't help it, but the city is, Boston is
You have to be vigilant about it.
Yeah, Boston is bad, and like when my husband and I went to the same school, but we were in the dorm. And one year, there was mice all the time. I saw one in my room. My husband, my then boyfriend, and his roommate had tons in the dorm. So it's just kind of.
Well, I remember when we went to take you to school.
There was one in the hotel.
Yeah, in the first year we went out there, and the people down at the front desk were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Because we called them, "There's a mouse in our room." And they're like, "Okay." Like it was no big deal.
I always tell myself I'm a country mouse when I go to places like New York and Boston. But we were outside the dorms last year there in Boston, and at night, and in the bushes I saw a rat, like huge.
Well, in my
Huge.
first apartment in Little Rock, at night there was like a ground cover kind of plant, some kind of, I don't know what, on the ground, alongside the little walkway between the apartments, and when you would walk on the little walkway to your apartment at night or whatever, you'd hear cockroaches crawling around in the.
Do you remember when I went to visit you? You were newlywed, and I went to visit you at your apartment, and as I was driving away,
In Albuquerque?
I don't think it was Carlisle.
Lead and Coals, where I used to live.
No, it was an east-west road. But it was the one that went to that weird triangle. Not the one over, on Central, but that little, where there's roads going every which way.
Yeah.
And so I went out that way because I was heading toward the freeway, and my car stopped running, and I had AAA, but this is before cell phones, and so I had to go find a cell phone because it was dark. A payphone, sorry. It was dark, but where I was, but I could see there was a bar nearby, and I could see the payphone. So I walked
Playing
to the,
chicken.
I walked to the payphone, and every step, roaches went out from under me. And I was like,
Well,
don't
one
look
time-
down, don't look down, don't look down.
One time, my son was in middle school here in Arizona, and his choir did a Disneyland trip, and we were leaving at like almost midnight at night. And so we met the buses and everything in the schoolyard. There was the buses were all lined up, those big tour buses, and so and everybody was there dropping the kids off. So there was a bunch of cars parked, and all the headlights, along the sidewalk. And we walked out to the bus, and I looked down the sidewalk, and it seemed like the entire sidewalk was moving like this. And I was like, told my son, don't put your suitcase down. Put it right into the bus. Don't put it on the sidewalk.
In that first
It's so gross.
in that first apartment that I lived in, I shared a porch with the apartment behind me, and I guess I think I came home. Well, I don't know. It was 4th of July, I think, or I don't know what. But they had they must have had a cookout of some kind, or hot dogs, or somehow they had eaten hot dogs. And I was coming home late at night, and I guess they had dropped a piece of hot dog about that big,
Where was this? Little Rock?
Little Rock, yeah. And they had dropped it, I think, on the porch or on the ground below the porch, something, because I could see it. So it wasn't like underneath the porch, but they had left a piece of hot dog about a couple inches long, I guess, or an inch or so, on the ground. And as I walked up, there was a gigantic cockroach sitting on the hot dog, munching away.
Having his dinner.
Yeah. I was like, that is so gross. And the problem was, they could come in your house.
Oh no, it was so nasty.
Well, in my second apartment,
Oh.
it was, I was by the dumpster.
But
and
wait,
So they were always coming in.
remember Beth?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to tell the story. She was moving here to Arizona, and she had a moving truck and movers, and I was at her house, and we were moving her stuff in. And all of a sudden, in another building
Oh,
nearby, we hear this woman screaming. And we're thinking, someone is murdering her. It sounded like she was being stabbed or something.
or attacked.
Blood curdling scream. And the moving guys are like, stay here, we're going to go check it out. And we go and we look, and we can see, we can identify where the scream is coming from. And it went on a long time.
Yeah.
And
We
were
thought
like,
somebody was
we thought
beating
someone
her
was
up.
beating her up or stabbing her or something. And so I called 911. The police came, knocked on the door, and then we found out. And Eve, you will relate to this. She had gotten a cockroach on her porch, and was screaming because the bug was on her or something.
Well, to
And we're like,
be
oh my
fair,
God.
there is nothing so nasty as a southern United States roach.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh my God. In Florida, they would get in your car. You had to keep your car completely clean. No food wrappers, nothing. Because if there was anything in there, and of course, they live inside moving boxes and stuff like that, or shipping boxes. So anytime I worked in a retail store, and whenever we were opening a box, I was like, I don't want to touch anything. I don't want to, because half the time there was a roach inside. And that thing could have been shipped from China.
And the thing
And there would
about-
still be a live roach
So I
inside.
have a thing about bugs. Some bugs are acceptable because they travel in predictable manner. And I can predict where that bug is going to go. Even a spider, they pretty much, unless they're those jumping ones, they pretty much, which way they're going to go. An ant, you can watch them walk. They're, But roaches are chaotic. And that's why I can't stand them. That's why I can't stand cicadas. We got a cicada in the house. And it's like, if you have wings, why can you not fly?
Because their body is weird
It's just like,
shaped.
Boom, 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 boom.
and I'm like, it's that chaotic movement that freaks me out.
That was one thing that Snug is really good at, is he's a bug wrangler.
Well, that's
And-
what I told Hannah when she had the mouse. I'm like, too bad you can't have a cat. They should allow you, if they're not going to come and exterminate, they should allow you to get a cat.
Yeah. But when I would, once in a while there would be cockroaches in my apartment, but in my second apartment, because, like I said, I lived at the back of the building, and right just below, my balcony, just off to one side was the dumpster, and we had, we had a hallway. So our apartment doors opened on the inside, but there was like a gap under the door like this, and so if a cockroach got in the building, it could come in the door to your apartment, or climb up the walls on the outside from the dumpster or whatever. So they were fairly not common. We had an exterminator,
Yeah.
That would come regularly, but whatever.
But
So,
he could catch them well.
but yeah, I would wake up in the morning and find a cockroach lying on its back with its legs pulled off,
So,
poked a hole in it.
I
So
told
it-
Hannah if she had a cat, that would be worse because that mouse would have wound up on her bed as a
Ooh,
gift.
yeah.
so when I was working in again in Albuquerque near the river, the company I worked for was in a converted barn near the river, and things were fine. Once in a while you'd see a roach, but one day I went to get a notebook out from the top part of the desk, and I opened it, and a roach ran up through the middle of it, ran off, and I went. And so so the landlord so my boss told the landlord, and he said okay, and he decided to put down I don't know what to get rid of these roaches. And whatever he put down killed a cat. Not our cat, thankfully, or we would have been very mad. I walked into the building the next morning, and I stopped. I wouldn't go in. And my coworker was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what's wrong? Can't you see them?" There had to have been 100 roaches dead on the car. It was a carpet of roaches. and I was like, I can't go in there. There's not even an empty space where I can walk across, where I can't. And fortunately, he went in and he picked them all up. And then he went upstairs and picked up more. And my landlord called, my boss called the landlord, and she said, we're going to hire Terminex, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. Because I was like, one roach, fine. And you may know that, you see one roach and there's a whole bunch in the walls. You may know that, but you don't want to.
You don't want to see them.
How do we devolve from stitching to roach stories? I guess it's my fault.
It's your fault. Your mouse story.
Mouse stories.
I keep.
Vermin.
But everybody has vermin stories, no matter where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Florida, in Belgium, I had spiders.
The biggest, one of the biggest spiders. Not. I saw a tarantula once, but otherwise a regular normal spider. Was in Florida when I was visiting Kevin. We went. Some friends or relatives of theirs lived on a lake at a little pond, and we went water skiing. Well, they went water skiing. They dragged me around in the water because I'd never been water skiing before, and so I was. I would.
You went water dragging?
Yeah, I would try to stand up, but I really couldn't, and so yeah, I just went. But anyway, so afterward we had I guess we had a cookout or something. We were sitting around in the living room, I guess watching TV and talking, whatever. And up at the top of the wall by the roof, there was a big spider. It was just huge. And so I think they said it was a wood spider or something, but it was big and scary looking and.
I don't mind spiders as long as they stay. If they cross the threshold of my house, that's what I told Hannah last night. All creatures, great and small, but if they cross the threshold, all bets are off. I've made a deal with God. It's okay. Like, Lord, I love your creation, but if it comes in this house,
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, and you know, it was in Belgium that I learned how to kill spiders without leaving a splat mark on the wall. And in Belgium, the spiders were huge, huge,
Nasty.
and prolific. And you would wipe all the spider webs, which, by the way, those movies of, you know, Dracula with all those thick spider webs and all, yeah, yeah,
It's
they
all
really
real.
look like that. And I would wipe them out of the doorway in the morning, and the next day I'd get up and they would be back.
Yeah.
And so they would hide out. The ceilings were kind of high, not as high as these, but they were high. And they would run up into the crevice between the ceiling and the wall because they knew you couldn't squish them there. And I learned that if you hit them with a broom straight on, they disappear. And you never see them again. You don't have to clean up splatted spider, you know.
They're probably all just living in your broom.
No, I looked for them the first time. I was like, where'd the spider go? I guess because they're made mostly of air.
Air and evil. So our bushes outside, we call them the spider hotel because in some summers you go out there and you can just see the web all over our hedge in the back. But I don't mind it because I'm like, you are eating all the mosquitoes and all the crane flies.
As long as they stay outside, I'm cool with them. They have a purpose. You know, sometimes it's, you know, so some guy can mix it up in the transporter with a fly. And so they can be out there in the bush going, help me. Sorry. I digress.
Okay, now I gotta mark. Look, I made progress.
Oh yeah.
Progress.
The little,
The little
stair
stair
step.
steps.
Mm-hmm.
I'd show you my progress, but I don't think you can see it because it's kind of subtle. No,
One,
can't see it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I gotta draw on my thing.
Because these beads are tiny and they are clear.
Maybe that's what discourages me the most about. See, I'm a reluctant cross stitcher. Here I am doing this challenge. Is that it takes so long and everything's so small. But I do like it, and I always want the finished product.
I don't know, you got pretty far on that boat thing and then you just stopped.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Of course, I did that with a dragon. I don't even know where that dragon is now. I learned to cross stitch.
This
30
is
years
all
ago.
your fault.
Yeah. You just wanted to
It's
talk.
all your fault. The knitting, the crochet, the yarn, the cross stitch, the sewing. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
She's
Get
the one who
over it.
made us do it.
Get over it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know that.
Do you have a pencil? Does
Uh,
anybody have a pencil?
I have a colored.
I have a
some
pen.
colored
I don't
pencil.
care. I just need to mark this because I got to change
I have a
something.
pen.
In
Oh,
Naomi, in here on the couch. Oh. Okay.
I
see.
just
Is a pen okay?
yeah. I just need to mark that I have to change this pattern. On what is the name of this program? PC Stitch. When you put in a bead, and I selected this Mill Hill glass seed beads. That's what I selected in the pattern. But they show up